I love this comic book. The Walking Dead, book number 24. Rick finally wakes up after 26 hours of being unconscious. Carol, who was sitting beside his bed, asks him if he's waking up. Rick, unsure of his current state, believes that he is and asks Carol how she is doing. Rick attempts to make a joke about the zombies to Carol, who doesn't get the joke, and is in disbelief that he actually tried to make a joke. Suddenly, Carol kisses Rick. Rick is shocked by Carol's actions and questions her, asking why she kissed him. She tells him that she heard how he stood up for her with Tyreese and that it meant a lot to her. Carol then assures Rick that she won't tell Lori about the kiss. Rick informs Carol that he will tell Lori about it and that he values Carol as a friend but nothing more. Carol then leaves to go retrieve Sophia from Andrea and Dale, who had been watching her. After Rick finally gets up, Dale comes in to see him. He lets Rick know that they've all decided that the pressure is getting to him and that he can't be their leader anymore. And Rick agrees. Dale also tells them that they formed a committee consisting of himself, Rick, Tyreese, and Herschel. Rick is surprised there are no women on the committee, but Dale tells him they all voted for them to be in charge. Rick asks if everyone thinks he's crazy, to which Dale replies that he doesn't know, though he adds that many people are scared of Rick's behavior. Carol goes to inform Carl that Rick has woken up and asks him if he was worried. "Nope, my dad's real tough. I wasn't worried at all," Carl says to Carol. Out in the yard, everybody is working in Herschel's garden when Rick arrives to see them. While everyone looks at Rick worried, he informs them that he has accepted Dale's proposal and agrees that he shouldn't be making all of the decisions. He adds that he had heard some things being said about him. Tyreese tells him that, while they all appreciate everything he's done for them, he went too far when he killed Dexter. Rick is furious that the group thinks he's crazy for killing Dexter. He assures them that while he knows what he did was technically wrong, things have changed. Tyreese argues that they can't simply abandon their humanity, and Rick agrees. He tells the group that he killed Dexter to protect them all, as Dexter had evicted them from the prison. He concedes that he should have come clean immediately, but he thought the group might prefer not to know how savage they'll need to be. Rick tells them the world has changed and that they have to change with it. He asks if the survivors are still hoping to be rescued, then tells them to abandon such hopes, as things are never going back to the way they used to be. He goes on to tell them they can either come to terms with that fact, or they can continue hoping and pretending, which will eventually lead to their deaths. He proclaims that they will change and still be humane, though they have to be prepared to do whatever it takes to keep themselves safe. He goes on to tell them that his old rule of "you kill, you die" is no more and was never going to work, as nowadays the exact opposite seems to be true. He goes on to acknowledge that he may have gone a little crazy, but so has the world. He tells them that while he's perfectly happy with not being the leader anymore, he will still do whatever it takes to keep them safe, as the life they have now at the prison is all they will ever have. Tyreese informs Rick that they have been trying to reestablish life as it was, but they don't want to become savages, to which Rick ironically replies that he's the only sane person in the group. Rick argues that they became savages the minute they decided to kill their first zombie. He tells the group how they're living surrounded by the dead, on borrowed time. He continues saying that they don't live behind walls to protect them from the walking, because when each person dies, they will become a zombie as well. He concludes by saying, "We are the walking dead." I am shocked to learn that at just issue 24, we have experienced an entire year of the zombie apocalypse. Now I'm curious, How many people is Carol going to kiss? We are up to 3 now, at least. I'm really curious about her whole backstory now. I am also glad that Rick wasn't out for another month like the first time. It did cause him to miss one whole month of the zombies. The fact that he managed to make a joke about that was good. Sadly, it was lost on Carol. The committee is a good idea. A dictatorship does not end well. Over time, multiple people might decide on an attempt to take over power, and in this small group, there would not be many survivors. I was surprised to find that Tyreese was still pushing the Dexter thing. I reread the issue that he had Dexter and his attempt at a takeover. Rick was the only one who knew that Dexter was going to kick them all out of the prison. No one else except Andrew heard or saw. This is why Dexter's death looked like a cold-blooded murder. He gives a very long speech on multiple topics, Rick does. The most important being that it's been a year since all of this started. There's been no rescue. There's been nothing. They only have themselves to rely on. No one else. They have to do whatever is required to survive, as no help is coming. Things won't ever go back to how they were. The prison is now their home. They are safe there. Outside of the prison, they are in the wild and not safe. He also addresses the Dexter issue. We see in the issue where Dexter is killed that he is armed because he got Andrew to break into A Block and get guns. He was kicking everyone out of the prison. They were going to have to leave the prison, or he was going to kill them all. Rick tells them, in very basic words, that Dexter was going to force them out and they would not have been able to continue living at the prison. He saw an opportunity to keep them all safe and living in the prison, and he took it. He also makes clear that any time there is a threat to the group's safety, he will take action, whether they like it or not. We don't see their reactions in this book, but I hope to in the next. Thanks for tuning in to the I Love This Comic Book podcast. If you would like to make a donation in support of this podcast, you can through Cash App to Pasta26MC. That's pasta like the food, the number 2, the number 6, M as in monkey, C as in cat. If you would like to sponsor this podcast or advertise on it, please send an email to podcast@pastasworld.com. As always, you can go to pastasworld.com for more information.